Welcome back to Faculty Spotlights. I'm Dr. Anna Belmonte, the Division Chair for Forensic Psychology at the Chicago School. I'm here today with Dr. Adare Toral, who is a assistant professor at our Los Angeles campus in our Forensic Psychology department. Thanks so much for joining us, Dr. Toral.
Thank you.
Can you start off by sharing a bit about your background and what brought you to the Chicago School?
Sure. So I actually did my master's at the Chicago School, and that's most of my background. I started as a drug and alcohol counselor out of my bachelor's degree, and then decided to do my master's. And I had been working with juvenile drug court, and I really wanted to continue in that forensic realm. So I did the forensic master's degree, actually at the Los Angeles campus and everything. And then was working in high levels of care, psych hospitals, jail, juvenile hall. Did some work with threat assessment for the county here, and then decided to do my PhD during COVID because we had nothing better to do with our time, and really got into research doing that. So I decided that my dream job would be just to read, and teaching is as close as I think I'm going to get to that. So decided to apply, and I've been here for almost 2 years teaching now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And so you kind of started to talk a little bit about this, but can you share with us what areas of teaching, research, or practice, or all of them, are you most passionate about?
Sure. I am a trauma specialist. So I have my private practice where I do EMDR and somatic work and primarily work with women who have experienced sexual assault or domestic violence. But really anybody that is coming and looking for trauma work. And then outside of that, my focus tends to be on criminal behavior, mass attacks, school shootings, and violence generally. That's where my research has been as well, with mental health provider training and looking at the Tarasoff law specifically is where I tend to do a lot of research and training, and that kind of factors into threat assessment as well.
Awesome. And how do you see your work impacting both students and the community?
Yeah, I think that doing research is something that I really enjoy, and working, of course, at the doctoral level where they are conducting their own research, doing their dissertations. I really enjoy helping them through that process and teaching the process of research because I think that it's really unique and that not everybody gets a lot of experience doing that throughout their schooling. With that as well, having personal experience doing research, going through IRB, stuff like that, can be really helpful to just kind of give some insight. And then to be able to also utilize research that my students are doing, research that I've done, and just kind of the process of finding new information, keeping things up to date. That of course comes into the classroom and is part of our lectures and our learning experience and the way that I present information to the students. On a community level, I do provide some trainings. I've presented at conferences, and my some of my research is published, and so utilizing that to, again, like, ideally help people and to inform training and to continue to keep things up to date and evidence based and all of that. We love to see consistent research in all of those areas. And then therapy wise, I really enjoy my private practice. I really enjoy working with my clients and providing that service to the community as a whole. And I try pretty hard to make things accessible. That's really
Mm.
part of my goal with private practice is making sure that people who want mental health therapy can have access to it. So working with, the local schools and nonprofits and things like that to try to get people connected and make sure that they have access to the things that they need.
Amazing. And you were touching on something that I think, a lot of our students or incoming students try to get a grasp on. And research is one of those areas. And whilst some of our students will engage, obviously, in a dissertation, some of our students might not have the opportunity to conduct like their own
Mhm.
student-driven research. And as a university that's not a huge benefactor of grants and whatnot. I think what you touched on, though, is how we teach our students to be good consumers and utilization and use research in a way that affects all of our practice, in making it evidence-based and ensuring we're providing the highest quality services possible.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's important for, even just like on any paper that our students write to like have research behind it, to have evidence for the things that they're going to say and pose, and then be able to explain how they're going to use that in their careers.
Uh-huh.
Um, Whether that's by looking into research or just based on what they've read and wanting to utilize some of that in their practice. But yeah, I think that learning how to do that is a huge part, especially in dissertation, but also just
Mhm.
generally throughout, higher education.
Great. Um, and kind of to that end, what do you think makes our program unique, and why is it especially valuable for students?
Well, I think that the unique aspects, especially of the forensic psychology program, is that the entire program is so specialized. And I think that
Mhm.
that's very rare that people can come out of a degree with a specialty. And
Mhm.
so to have that exposure where all of the professors, everyone that works here has work experience in this
Yeah.
field and has their personal experience of working in correctional facilities or doing assessments, working in outpatient facilities, working with severely mentally ill, whatever those populations are, that I don't think is taught as frequently in other
Mhm.
programs, where there's a really big emphasis through every class on connection between all of these different agencies and how you're working with real people in real settings and people that are potentially a little bit more in need of our services.
Mhm.
That I think that alone is really special, to be able to give people such good insight and a specialty coming out of their program. I think that's awesome. I think another thing that I try to encourage is that if people are really interested in a particular facet of forensics, like whether that is severely mentally ill or cults or serial
Mhm.
killers, that they can hyper focus through this program when they're doing their signature assignments, when they're writing for their
Mhm.
dissertation or any of these spaces. They have this opportunity to really dive deeper into their personal interests within the forensic field. And I used that when I was doing my program here, and I really try to encourage people to do that, because that is how we build our careers and take that into research or training or whatever it is that we decide to do
Mhm.
with this degree.
Yeah, I think you make a great point that forensic psychology in and of itself is a specialization, but there are like sub specializations
Yeah.
even within forensic psychology that we expose our students as much as possible throughout their time in our programs, whether it be short ish for the masters or longer for a PsyD. But students really do have the opportunity to kind of lean into some of those areas and do more research on their own, take advantage of the resources that we have through our library, for
Yeah.
example, or what our faculty, not just department faculty, but our large body of adjunct faculty too, what they're
Mhm.
interested in, what they've worked in. There's opportunities for students to really get exposure to a really broad range of things within forensic psychology.
Yeah, and it can help set them up for potential jobs outside
Hmm.
of their degree, and connecting with people who either work in the desired setting or with the right
Yeah.
population, or even who are conducting research, if that's the direction that they want to go. We just have so many options there that people can really connect with an individual professor, adjunct, or even just like former students as
Hmm.
well,
Yeah.
and get some of that insight and get a little bit of a, I don't want to say a leg up, but they can get a little bit of help.
Yeah.
A little bit more
Absolutely.
direction. Yeah.
Okay. So the last thing I have for you is what advice would you give to either a prospective student who's thinking about entering our program, or even to our current students who are going to be starting and joining our field soon?
Yeah. I think that there's so many things that can be really helpful. And I would really encourage people to kind of look forward and then work backwards. So look at
Mm,
the
mhm,
dream job, like what is required for that? What's the license type and what's the degree level? And then kind of work backwards from there and find the thing that would set you up for that. So
mhm,
considering like if you wanted to do research, if you wanted to, work for the FBI or wanted to do a lot of the things that we hear from our students working in jails, prisons, things like that, and
mhm,
really looking at what those requirements are and how to gain that experience through school, through the courses that you take, but also in work experience and
mhm,
utilizing the practicum system that we have to get set up and have meaningful experience in the field that really does set you up for the job that you want. I encourage my students when they are looking for practicum not to waste their time. And I don't say that in a mean way. I say that in a way that, like, if you don't want to work with eating disorders, don't work in an eating disorder clinic. If you want to work in a jail, let's look for options with that. And to really utilize that time because you have so much support in this program and throughout the practicum to get that experience and to make it worth your while that again will give you that entrance into that desired career, that desired field. And given that the school is pretty small, it's pretty easy to connect with your professors and to ask them as well about what their experience is and what their recommendations are. And getting letters of recommendation,
mhm.
things like that, that can again be really helpful and to give them a little bit more insight into what that job really looks like. Because I think it's hard to explain in words what our experience is in forensic settings. And so to kind of give that to people and to set them up for that potential and to give the opportunity of practicum to really invest in that can be so helpful to building a resume, to building that career, to moving forward, knowing that you are feeling confident in that experience.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Terrell, for having this conversation with me. I'm sure everybody out there is greatly appreciative too.
Yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate it.